Hey, we're so happy to have y'all here. We're going to be getting started in just a minute or two while folks are trickling in. Wanted to take this opportunity to see some familiar, friendly faces. Hey there, Brent. Welcome back. Chuck, good to see you again. Mike Weber as well. Stephanie, thanks for taking the time to join here. While you're signing in, I know we've got folks joining not only from across the country here in the States, but we've also got some folks from Canada. I see you there. So if you could let us know where you're joining from, and if you are joining us here while we're getting some more folks into the room here, just let me know in the chat if you can see me, if you can hear me. If you can do both, let us know where you're visiting from or where you're joining us from on your side. Perfect. Hey there, Lauren. Great. Perfect. Atlanta, welcome. Ooh, San Diego. Very good. Excellent. Good morning to you, Benjamin, in that case. A couple other people joining us from California. Welcome. Tampa, very good. Excellent. Upstate, South Carolina. Always fine in South Carolina. Lovely. Columbia, Maryland. Perfect. We did a warehouse tour in that area. Lovely. Great. Orlando, Utah, Vermont. Very exciting. New York, welcome. Perfect. Yeah. We are joining you here from the nation's capital here in Washington, D.C. Goodshuffle Pro HQ, New Orleans. Hey there, Paul. Perfect. As folks are getting comfortable and getting settled in here, I can see folks know where the chat is located. As you have questions or if you need any support as we go through, you can put any messages in there in the chat. You can either message everyone or you can message just the panelists if you have some technical questions. There is also the Q&A pod. So in the Zoom toolbar, where you see the option to maybe raise your hand, emote, or open the chat pod. There's also the option to click more, and then there's the Q&A option. So as you have questions, my colleague Dom is going to be in the background answering any questions, getting folks hyped up, so that if you do have some direct questions for our incredible speaker, Luna Tolunay here, go and make sure you put those questions in the Q&A pod. That way we can make sure we tackle those through, and there'll be time toward the end of the day in the session here to tackle any questions. Great. Looks like we got some more folks joining in here, even some folks from the DC area. Welcome, good neighbors. So, welcome to today's session from 300 to 1200. How Fund Planners built systems that scale. I am so excited to learn with y'all. There's a little surprise that we're going to unveil toward the end. So make sure you stick around. But it's my pleasure to introduce Luna from Fund Planners. Fund Planners has delivered Florida's top entertainment and equipment for over 15 years. Starting as a small-scale casino company in the 1980s, they've expanded their services by client requests to cover all of the event needs, fully insured. They handle all the event requirements, and they bring the fun. Luna, welcome. We're excited to learn with you today.
Hello. Hi, Colin. Thanks for having me. Excited.
Perfect. So I just stopped sharing my screen. So if you want to share your slides, we
Sure.
are excited.
Perfect. You guys good on your side? You can see. Awesome. All
Looks
right.
great.
Thanks for the great intro there, Colin. A little bit about myself. I have been in the industry over 30 years. My husband and I started Fund Planners in 2002. We met actually working in the events industry. And just over time, just building the industry, learning, this industry has grown tremendously, I would say, in 30 years. We started this type of work and we were trying to find insurance. And now we're just trying to find ways to make processes work faster, be able to build our businesses, and basically deal with, instead of one or two events a week, now we're trying to do 20, 30, 40 events in a week. I love learning from different friends and people in the industry. Been a member of ILEA for over 25 years. I've been a past president of the Orlando chapter. Yay, go ILEA. A member of NACE for many years and MPI. So definitely like to be involved in an industry and see what I can do to better the processes that we all have in place, and then also to learn myself how we've gotten to where we are. Colin did mention a little bit. We started out, it was my husband and myself. In 2002, I was in my late 20s, probably not a very good boss. 3,500 square foot warehouse, and we were trying to do about 300 events a year. Hired one or two people in that first year to help us out. So Right now, we've scaled. We're about over 18 full-time employees. We have departments now. We have a 40,000 square foot warehouse. I know a lot of you saw, and there's that little promo video. And we're doing easily over 1,200 events a year. So how did we get there? We basically had to build, and we almost had to restructure our company as we grew. Our first 3 years, we doubled the size of our company every single year. So we would have to stop and look at where we were and see where we needed to take the next steps. This is the main line of it. We're busting our tushies, we're working hard, we're making the events happen. And I think most of our businesses do start in similar fashion. It's one or two people, we have a truck, we start getting some products, and we start to build. And then as your company starts to grow, you'll feel it. I feel as a business owner and running other companies in the past, you will feel those strains coming on to you. You feel things start to slip through the cracks and you keep pushing forward. But the important thing is to know is when you feel that consistent strain that you do need to stop and you need to reevaluate where those cracks are. Is it consistent in the same spot? And what you can do to fill those gaps up. As the slide says, your business isn't running its survival. You can't just be running by the seat of your pants all the time. And what we have learned is if you just put it to paper and you put some processes down, your life will be way easier and it helps you train your staff. As a business owner, I don't know how many business owners are in this today, or some of you are just managers and overseeing people. But the main thing we did learn that made us the most successful over time is take yourself out of it. I don't want every one of my customers to call and say, I need to speak to Luna to get the results I need, or I need to make sure Luna's at my event to know that it's going to go well. You need to set up the processes to make sure that everyone in your team and everyone in those positions know what they're doing and they can execute for you. They can execute as if you were there. And that is the biggest turning point in any business as you start to grow, is to know that your team can execute in the same manner and with the same expectations as you would and if you were there. And we'll talk a little bit here how we did accomplish that. The biggest thing I say to get there, and we still do this now, is just have everyone in your team that you have working for you now and almost a lead a department. If it's 3 of you, 2 of you, 5 of you, it doesn't have to be pretty. Have someone text it to you or talk into an email and just say what they do. It doesn't have to be organized. It doesn't have to be any specific manner, but just have them talk through their day or their week or their month and the things they do. And everybody's talking about AI. Awesome little tool you can do is take all of those texts and all the information you get and dump it into something like Claude. I use it, I love it, and create an SOP for your company. You put all those positions. This is what my director of sales does. This is what my director of operations does. This is what my accounting does. And you can actually create without having to have your team. Your warehouse guy may not know how to put together an SOP for himself, but he knows how to talk and send you a text of what he does every day. You put all that together and you can actually have something like a ChatGPT or Claude put together the brain of your company very easily in just a few minutes. I'm telling you, it's the best, most affordable, and most reliable employee you will ever have is get a subscription to a good AI platform. I'll talk a little bit here now about our flow and how we do things here on the level we're at. Some of you now, depending on the business size, you may wear 3 of these hats, 4 of these hats, all 8 of these hats. But this is how over time we pulled apart our processes, and you can see something sales to staffing coordinator used to be the same position, but over time we pulled those positions apart because we knew that we needed someone full-time to manage the sales and other people full-time to manage all the staff that we were booking. We have over 80 contractors we book as event staff, plus talent and entertainers and DJs and things of that nature. So it does take a lot of attention to do that. So I'll run through our processes quite quickly in the next few slides, but this is a high-level overview. The sales and quoting, the contract sign, the team assignment, we create tasks. And this is how our team operates. You'll notice it actually follows the flow of Goodshuffle. So that's why we are big Goodshuffle fans. That's why we have everything from the integrations on our website, integrations for QuickBooks, integrations For our calendars, we use Dispatch. We use it all. So it does work, and you'll see how all those processes work together to just make a smooth process and a smooth overall operation for your team. We'll start from the different phases of the company and how we go. We create the project. I have a little couple notes here as well. Make sure everyone on your team, like even if you have a sales manager, we have multiple people in the company that will create projects and create quotes for customers. Make sure that everything is always the same. Make sure we always name our little trick is the project name. We always change it to be the client and the end group. We're corporate based. So we want to know who our main client is and who that end client is going to be. And then our team very quickly can find that information out, where they're going and who are they going to see. And the event locations on site, the ballrooms, if you have that information at the same place, same time, there's no question. You know if you're missing it when it's not in the spot it needs to be on that quote. Then the process goes, the client sign the contract, we get that lovely little email, contract's been signed in our inbox. And then our salesperson automatically, they review that contract. They look through what they've sold, they refresh their memory. We may touch 50 quotes in a day sometimes. So we do have to refresh our memory, review the project, make sure we're going to execute what our customer is expecting at that point. And then we assign it. So now in Goodshuffle, we can assign the different people. The warehouse that needs to check product. Is there a product we want to make sure is in pristine condition and make sure it works? Maybe there's a note that had been repaired recently, so we'll send them to check that. We have a whole graphics department. We may be wrapping a game or doing graphics in a photo booth. So what we'll like to do there is we'll assign our graphics person that's going to do the mock-ups for the customer. Then we'll attach our staffing coordinator, and we'll put a note and a task in there that they need to book so many staff. So the great part about it is we do have a process in place. Those tools are in front of us, and they're very easy to use. And our team has those expectations. They know when they say they've been added to a project, they need to go review that project and double check what our sales coordinator has assigned them to do. And they may come back at questions, but at least it's starting the conversations to make sure we're going to execute. And then we're going to go to getting closer to the execution of the jobs. If only customers knew how many hours and how much time we all spend on trying to make sure these events happen and that we execute them. It's not just showing up and making it look pretty. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Our team, as some of you who saw us at the warehouse tour, we have a very detailed prep process, and we know where our equipment is. We have everything labeled in a storage location and our attributes under the products. And then we have it labeled on the products a lot where they go back. But so our team, when they're prepping for jobs, usually at least a day ahead of time, maybe 2 days ahead of time, depending on how much we have going on, how much space we have in our prep area, they're going to pull and prep. And they're going to mark everything off. I know in the fulfillment page, you can label your 3 sections, and we have our 3 as pulled, loaded, returned. So those are 3 sections we work with. So my team will pull everything. We have these really cool little boxes that we have on our warehouse floor. Some of you guys saw on that warehouse tour, where the team can pull, make sure everything's there for a project, and then they may have to rearrange things, maybe use different carts if something's not fitting, or they'll arrange the equipment so it does fit. There's no surprises on the day of the job. And they're marking everything off as they pull it and cleaning it and making sure it's ready to go. Then we do load the trucks, either the day before or the day of. Mostly it's the day of because we use all of our vehicles almost every day. But as they load the truck, again, they're going to be marking it off. The event day of team will mark off what's in their truck, make sure that they have all the tools and everything they have and need for it. Even down to the carts and tools, they actually do track, and they'll add how many carts they have, their toolbox, they have drills. All of that is labeled in our fulfillment list, so we don't lose drills and all that fun stuff we really need. And obviously, this is an important part because when this 2-day process is happening, we have time to make sure everything works. We deal with arcade games, we deal with photo booths. We want to make sure there's no tech issues. Everything is set up, everything's plugged in, everything's working. And if you go to the customer, if something isn't working, surprisingly, and you need to make a change, where you're contacting the customer the day prior and you're working with them to maybe find a substitution, you're not losing money. You're substituting something else. You may even get them to rent even more things if you start talking about what would be really great for their event. But if you wait till the day of and then something doesn't work, you're just removing it from their invoice and then you're losing money. So that's our trick to just mitigate any type of refunds or paybacks. Date of operations. So we went over that. Our team comes in, they log into their phone or an iPad. We have both. We've pretty much gone digital here. Paper would get lost, they wouldn't know where it went. So everything here is pretty much the guys are logged in on their phone, or if it's a large order, they feel more comfortable, they can grab one of our iPads. So they'll check their trucks, they'll mark everything again on the fulfillment list that they have it. And once the truck is ready, our process is we call the customer. Then our guys are thinking about where they're going next, where they need to go. We deal a lot with hotels and big venues. If they're unsure about the event space or the weather's looking bad, at least at that point, we can double check. Are we still going to the outside lawn? Are we moving inside? If they're unsure where to load in, they can ask the customer, and sometimes they may not know, but it gives that customer, if you call them before you even leave the warehouse or at least 30 minutes to an hour before you're going to arrive, gives that customer time to get the information for you. So you're not wasting time on site. By the time you get on site, you know where you're pulling in, you know what room you're in, and you just get to work. You're not walking around trying to check things out. Delivery and setup. We have a very unique process at our company where after we set up, obviously we use the equipment release forms built into Goodshuffle, but we also take photos of all of our setups. And we do try to encourage our teammates to take the best photos they possibly can. For one, it's going to protect us. We have proof we've delivered. We have proof it was set up properly. And if they take a nice enough photo, we actually now have more collateral for our inventory product photos, our website integration it's going to upload. So every day we're looking at those photos and we at least have a lot of nice and new photos, and we're always changing and updating those photos from event site pictures we take. The cool thing too is once they email them in, we always dump them into the team messages in our projects. When you put that into your team messages, it actually uploads the photos as a file in Goodshuffle, so you can tag a customer, a venue later on if you want to keep it, and you'll know what you set up at that venue. Or if you're going to go back a year later, 6 months later to see how that event went, you'll have information on it. Another unique thing we do is delivery report. We actually have an online survey, or you could use a Google form, but we have a set of questions we ask, and it just triggers their mind to remember to tell us this information, and train them to give you information that even your sales team, we ask, was there another vendor there? Was there someone delivering a product that we own? We could have actually had a little bit bigger piece of the business. Or were there struggles with the venue? Or, hey, next time we come here, we really need a dock plate. So all those little notes that the guys tell us, we can tag back into either the venue or the client or inventory information. Maybe they took a picture of a scuff on something. We probably need to pay attention to it. Delivery, at least we know the client didn't do it and that we need to take care of it. So all that information, again, we'll put into team messages from those delivery reports. So if we go back a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years later, we have that info. We know how that delivery went. We have the information on the venue. And at the end, we also do a strike report survey. So they seem at the beginning of the event, they're going to think of things and remember a lot of things. And at the end of the event, our team will remember, okay, when we came back, this was missing, this was damaged, or just the overall we asked, was the client happy? Did the guests have a great time? The client will mention to them, oh, it was great. We loved it. We actually were thinking about you doing this again for a holiday party. Great. At least your team has documented that. It may not have come up with your salesperson, but now your event onsite team is able to help you capture another order, another event that you could possibly do. Post event and repair and reset. So now we're to the end. We get back to the warehouse. Every single morning, number one thing we do as a team, we get in, we look at those event reports, we review them. What equipment needs to be pulled? What equipment needs to be checked? Was there additional labor fees? Was an event extended? So first thing we do before we get on with our day, and it actually creates a good check-in system. Everybody in the company who's in the office, our warehouse, We have a chat about the previous day's events, maybe even what we could have done better, what we could have changed, what was awesome, pat ourselves on the back. We rocked it. But at least we're reviewing everything as a team and we work together to solve any kind of issues. We create those repair tasks, we create as we unload everything, we mark it back off and returned in the fulfillment page. We make sure it's all been returned. And we're going through every single item at that point. We track everything in Goodshuffle, and then of course, if there's any damage in the event reports or any damage we notice when we're unloading the truck, we either create a set aside in Goodshuffle so we don't actually rent it, or we'll immediately be alerted if we're going to be short on inventory on that product. But if it's a quick, just touch it up or vacuum it and put it back, we don't do a set aside. We have an actual whole little, we call it the hospital in the warehouse. We throw it into the hospital, we touch it up, and we get it right back out to inventory. And then once we're done, we're going to start pulling those prep and loading orders for that day to start for the events for the next day and the day after, and the cycle starts all over again. So it is a process. Every single person in our company knows where they fit into this process, what are their responsibilities, and how they need to execute their job every single day. And if they have a question, they know who to go ask. As management, it is a really nice thing to have, and we'll go back to Goodshuffle. That's why we're all here, right? The bird's eye view is phenomenal because my job as an owner and as the company grows is I just want to be able to train all of our staff, get them in place, and hopefully just guide them, mentor them, and teach them along the way. And using Goodshuffle, actually, I love the tools they have in place where I can see fulfillment status. I have a special projects tab. We have the custom setups now, right? So I have one, it's my daily. I open it up. I can see how many messages have gone out that day. I can see fulfillment. I can see how many items from all the orders in a specific for today and tomorrow have been pulled, prepped, loaded, returned. They've been marked off. I can see that the emails have been sent out for the final post-event recap. We send an email after every single event, checking in with the customer, making sure they did receive the final invoice. Since a lot of our customers are repeat and they have accounts, we need to make sure they turn in that final invoice so they send us hopefully some money. That is the point of this, right? We get paid. And then I can check in on event conversations. I can check in on messaging if I want to double check that we reached out to a customer, if we addressed something. I can pop into messaging and see what my team said and check in on them. I could even go back later and say, hey, that was great what you said. Maybe next time, let's address it this way. So it is a really good way that you can have your finger on the pulse of your entire company, check in on some things, and be able to just follow back with your team as you can. And then I guess the final takeaway of this is one good thing we have with Goodshuffle is we can document everything from the logs. I love searching. If I'm not sure what happened or when a note changed, I can check to see who put in that note and when it was put in. Or I can see when layouts were uploaded into the project and we have a new layout. I know which one's newer because there's a time frame and a log of when that was entered, which file's older than the other one. But the main thing is just use the tools that we have. Employ and empower your team to make good decisions. Dispatch, I love it. We'll start putting in the trucks and what deliveries they're going to do. And then now if the salesperson gets a last minute order, they don't need to stop and go ask everybody. They can actually look in dispatch and see a hole in dispatch and know, oh, this team actually has a 4-hour hole here. We could add another order in there. And they can, in good conscience, sell something only 1 or 2 days out and know that we can deliver it without having to stop the whole company and grinding halts. Because I don't know about you guys, but it seems like the last minute orders are the ones that just take up so much time and stop the entire company to figure it out. It's not worth it sometimes. But this way we know how we can easily add that in. And then the last thing is once you have all these SOPs in place, once you know what the processes are, if one person is being drawn too much, if they're being stretched too thin and too many hours on them, they can't get it done, you can easily look to see what they're doing and see, can someone else in the company take a piece of what they're doing, if they have extra time, or is it time at that point to maybe pull that job apart into two different positions? Once you can do that, you already have those SOPs in place. You can very easily put out the job posting online and you already have a description. You know exactly what that person needs to do. You can be very clear when you're interviewing them what their expectations are, and you can fill that position way faster than if you were just starting from scratch. And the last thing I want to say is culture is key. The positivity, the empowerment you give your team, the can-do attitude, that really goes a long way. I'm proud to say I have people who've worked with us over 15 years on our team, and you want them to want to come to work. You want them to be happy about where they are. They want them to be excited about your company's success. Things we have in place is we always wear uniforms that don't need to be fancy, but we have phone planners t-shirts and we all dress the same when we go on a job site. Everyone in the industry knows who we are when we arrive, and they know what our team is doing there. All the different planners know where we are in a large room when there's multiple vendors there. And if you train your team to be empowered, to make those decisions, to talk to your customers, you can be at 20 different job sites at the same time. You can be in all those places and have your culture and the way you would have done something actually being executed every single day. And that's the most of what I have for you today, Colin. I did note here 90% of our business is word of mouth. We do very little marketing, and it seems to be working for us.
Excellent. Yeah, it's great to hear the successes and the journey that you took to get to where you are today. And we're going to be taking a look in just a moment in some of the footage from the warehouse tours because I have never seen a more immaculate display of a warehouse. So we're going to be looking to that in a minute. We do have some questions from the
Awesome.
audience. We've got a question from Elise. How often is your delivery staff actually getting in touch with someone prior to the drop off? They're finding it hard to nail down the contact the day of.
We do put in place when we confirm their delivery, we do note to them that we will be contacting them when we're on our way to their delivery, and we do ask for the best number to reach them. So that may preemptive information might help. They'll be expecting that phone call. And then also we tell our team, if you call them, they don't answer, then just send them a text message, and then hopefully within that time frame they'll respond. And you need to ask them for the respond. Don't say, hey, I'm Bob, I'll be there in 30 minutes. You say, hey, I'm Bob, I'll be there in 30 minutes, and this is the question I have, or please reach out to me, let me know that you'll be on site. So if you give them a question to answer, you're going to get responses.
Gotcha. And we've recently rolled out in beta the ability to automatically text customers
Mhm.
through dispatch when your crew is moving through their different stops. So if I know we've got a few folks in here who are part of that beta, so if you'd like to learn more or if you want to help us explore that as part of the beta, reach out to us. We'd be happy to continue chatting about that. Cool. I got another question from Elise here. How do you keep up with quotes that have expired? Maybe a client just needs a little bit more time to commit. I've seen some suggestions with some of the folks that I work with, but would love to turn things over to you, Luna, and how you keep on top of quotes as they get near that expiration point.
Sure. We just a custom message. We will send a couple follow-up emails automated to the customers to say, please give us an update. How's the planning going? And then when the project does expire, we don't mark it lost. We just make it
Mhm.
so you cannot do an online signature so they can still see the quote. And we do let them know we've reached out several times. We haven't received an update. So we've canceled this in our system. If this was not your intention, please reach out to us immediately. And then we'll give them obviously our email address and the phone number to reach out to. And it does
Mhm.
work because they do reach out. Oh, can I get a couple more days? My client is still trying to sort things out. So even though they may not have responded the past 3 times when we followed up with them, this does jog them to take action and say, oh no, I still want those items. Please extend my quote.
Gotcha. Cool. I've got one other suggestion that I will share here. So I'm just going to share my screen super quick, Luna. Great. So we touched on this when we were doing the sales team training last week with my colleague Jake and I, having a saved view for the quote expiration column sorted by the date of that expiration will ensure that you can see those dates getting closer and closer, and you'll know which projects you may want to prioritize. You can even customize it to have the quote total, the client, whatever information will help you make a more informed decision of how much fight or how much priority you want to put on saving that proposal. You'll be able to start to get ahead, or you'll be able to know which projects are nearing expiration. As a quick refresher, you can always click Manage Layout up here in the top right. Once you've set your layout, your filters, and any of the other toggles that you can flip here, you can always click to save the view. That way you'll have that as a saved view option right here on your project list.
One thing I would add too, next to that date, I would also add last communication with
Yeah,
customer.
perfect.
Because then you may not notice, even though it says it's expiring tomorrow, if you see that last communication was just today, you'll know someone in your team has already communicated with
I
them.
love that. Love that. Perfect. Yeah, last message sent and open. Those are typically
Mhm.
the ones that we can see. Like, for example, I last reached out to you November 23rd. The client last opened a message November 13th. Not super
Right.
awesome to see that. Related to that, just because we're talking about columns and organizing the views here, we have a question from Benjamin. What kind of custom views do you find most useful as the owner on your side, Luna?
I use the pull sheet view religiously just so I can
Mhm.
see what's going on in the warehouse. And then I also add in the top line item list so I can kind of see what's going on that project, if refresh my memory, if there's something I want to double check on. And then the messaging, what you had just put on there. When's the last time the
Mhm.
message been read or received from the customer?
Cool. Great. We've got a few other questions on automation, automating some of the communications. How do you utilize the automatic email capabilities in Goodshuffle Pro? And there's a few that you can take advantage of there. The quote expiration, the timed emails, and then the payment due reminders. So how do you take advantage of those on your side, Luna?
We use all of it really. Layer one is always as soon as we create a project, we have it pre-set up to have the follow-ups every 90 up to 90 days, but
Mhm.
sometimes we do a quote in this industry only 2 weeks out, or sometimes it's a year and a half out. So we do try to pay attention as we're creating them to set
Mhm.
those follow-up and reminders in a realistic timeline.
Mhm.
But at least if we forget, it's already set in there. So something will be placed into the follow-ups. And then the payment reminders we do use, but not a ton because a lot of our customers are already just set up to pay us. So we're lucky in that respect. But we have been excited about doing those follow-ups. So we did
Mhm.
start implementing that when we're
Nice.
closing out, since we have our event reports, we know if a client's planning on to come back. Now we can automate so we don't have to
Mhm.
remember to see, are you planning your holiday event again? Are you planning your annual employee event again? We just talked to our team about putting those into place when we close out a project. So then we'll follow up with them for the next project.
Okay. So, got a question from Anna. How often do you do trainings for the on-site staff?
We do, there's multiple ways we do this. Every single week when we have an overview of the schedule, and we know everyone expects that email every Friday, and we call it team schedule and memos. When we do that, we go over things that have happened that week, reminders of how to do things, or if there was a learning experience. We try to put it in there so at least everyone's learning at the same time. You don't have to wait for 18 different people to make the same mistake. We can talk about it, show how you can execute properly the next time, and we can all move on, and we're all learning together at the same pace.
Mm.
And then in person, we try to do quarterly full day, like at least a 4 hour afternoon. We'll do a training, a little team building, fun activity, maybe have lunch or maybe a happy hour if everyone's been behaving, and just try to make it fun. And we can talk about what's been going on in a relaxed environment, take suggestions from people of how we can make things better. And it just makes everyone cohesive as a team.
Excellent. Right on. I've got a question from Colin with two L's, but I'm not going to hold that against you. Can you share more about the delivery reports that your crew fills out after delivery, and do those live in Good Shuffle Pro as well?
Right now, we're using it outside. We create a form. We actually have an online survey on the back end of our website that we use that we can edit. We do adjust it sometimes. We'll change the questions, but basically, We're making sure that the contract times didn't change. Was there any equipment issues? Was there any staffing issues? So the main questions that your sales team the next day is so eager to find out and get the answers to, we'll have those answers as soon as we come in. But we do go through those emails and we copy and paste that information into team messages in every single project. So we do have that cataloged and tracked in that respect. And we use that a ton. If there's a venue we don't go too often, and we're not sure if something can fit, we'll look at past projects that were at that same venue, check the notes, make sure we had no issues there. A client, we're unsure, should we add more games or make it different this year? We'll look at the notes. So that is a huge tool for us.
Very cool. Right on. I have a question from Ramon Luna. Good to talk to you again, Ramon. Hey, we should have a double bill. Ramon Luna Tolunay. We'll just save money on the marquee. It'll be perfect. So, how specialized is your team? Is everybody broken out? And what percentage of people do a little bit of everything, like work in the hospitality or work in deliveries? And what percentage of people are dedicated into a single area?
Right now, most people are dedicated to a special area. We have one person that kind of helps us. Myself, I overview a lot of ops, and then I have Brandy on our team. She's the coordinator, so she kind of is the one that makes sure sales and operations mesh together. All of the communication has gone through. She'll see if a note's missing for the guys, so she's the liaison, I would say. But pretty much our sales is sales, our graphics is graphics, our warehouse team is the warehouse team that preps and loads, and our delivery team is the delivery team. In the past, we did mesh a lot. So the warehouse team, we would have some of those guys would also do deliveries. We toyed where guys would have their warehouse shift the day before they would have their delivery day. So they would pull and prep their own job. So over time and over transitions and growth, people have done multiple things. We used to have a joke. They would call me like, I'd like to talk to sales. Hello, it's Luna. I like to be transferred to accounting. Hello, it's Luna. But now we have separated it out for the most part.
Excellent. Right. We've got a couple questions in the chat. I've been going between the Q&A and that chat here. I did see a call out or some deep personal resonance with the stress of the last minute changes and revisions from Kayla. So y'all are not alone. That's why we're all here today, is to scream together. So we have a couple of questions. I got a question from Herman. Do you let your driver call the customers, or do you have the dispatch? Do you have a separate dispatch team that handles all communication with the customers?
We have the driver, our event lead, call the customer. So they are trained. We have a whole training process for our event lead. We call them. So they may be different than just someone helping them set up the equipment, but they are trained on how to communicate with the customer, what questions need to be asked, how to fill out all the reports, take the photos. So there is a training process. So we feel confident in their communication abilities.
That's great. And this is more of a general SOP or building some scaffolding for the sales team. Do you set sales goals for your planners? More of a KPI than SOP.
I don't necessarily. We review what obviously our sales have been. I'm lucky to have 25 years worth. I can overview and I'll look at the past 3 years and we'll come up with estimates of where we want to be. But we don't look at a number every single day. I feel like if the train is on its tracks and the machine is running properly, it does come together on its own without people getting stressed out about a specific dollar figure.
Gotcha. Cool. And with the question here from Carrie, how often are your projects in that red action needed status, and who's overseeing that?
The salesperson, I would say it depends on which process we are at that point. So if it's a salesperson immediately when it's been signed, we're updating it. It's their job to make sure we follow up with that customer to make sure they approve whatever's been added or changed. If it's just a time change or delivery change, I'll be honest, we manually will make that change and mark it right back to contracted. So I guess it just depends on you. If there's no dollar amount change to it and it's communication, we'll make the change, mark it right back to green, and then we'll just send an email to the customer through Goodshuffle that'll say, here's your updated invoice, please review it. If there's any changes, let us know. And then it just keeps things moving a little bit quicker. If they're adding product or changing or removing something, we will make them sign it.
Cool. Great. And I got another follow-up question from Ramon. Are you using any additional CRM platform to follow up with customers? And how much are you following up with your past customers? So folks that you may have
Mhm.
worked with in the past. And what is that flow in using that system in conjunction with, and I quote, the shuffle? The shuffle. Yeah.
We really do not. We honestly just have a task list within our system, and we just have it on a repeat reminder, monthly check out, double check things that are a month out, and then double check things that are 6 months out, a year out. We have it in our calendar, August 1st. Let's make sure if we haven't heard from our December clients that have been repeats that we follow up with them again. So those are just things you can put in your task list with a repeat on them, and that's a consistent. But we do love the fact that we can now set Good Shuffle up to do those follow-ups that we
Mhm.
definitely need done at the closeout of a project, and it's gonna get taken care of for us. I will
Ah,
note, in messaging and Good Shuffle, always make sure that archive projects, being able to see those is turned on, because we do get a lot of customers that will email back on an old project and say, "Oh, I'd love to do this again." So if you don't have that turned on, you may miss that message.
gotcha. And I do have a follow-up question, and this is related to our special surprise that we're going to have in
Ooh.
just a few moments here. So, what other are programs or other features are you using outside of Goodshuffle Pro, specifically in the project management area? Because we've got a few people that are in the audience today that I think would love to hear more.
Yes, we are neck deep in, we use Planner. So we're an Office 365 company. So we use SharePoint to do outside of Good Shuffle files and Outlook for emails, and then Planner. I don't know if you ever used it, but that is a project management software where we can do a main task and we can do subtasks below it. And we can assign people within our company and make notes in that task list, and it will email you and update what's going on with it. So that is our main project management software that we use.
Gotcha. Got it. And we've got a question from Paul here. How are you using Goodshuffle to schedule delivery drivers and contractors?
We use dispatch, so we have all of our vehicles already in there. In busier season, we'll add sixth, seventh vehicle, and on the side put an R, and we'll know it's a rental. And we'll just drag and drop all the jobs in there. Automate works sometimes, but we find because we have so many deliveries and it's such a close proximity, sometimes it's easier to do a quick overview and start dropping them in that respect for us. And we can see the holes and the holes in time frames, and we can drop additional trucks into there. So it is way quicker. I used to print out an Excel spreadsheet and pencil scratch this guy and arrows and these 5 things in truck one. And I would say it takes about a quarter of the time, even though I am looking at the job or we're looking at the job and dropping them in.
Excellent. And I have a question here from Nicole. How do you utilize the QuickBooks Online integration with Goodshuffle Pro?
It's turned on. I don't know.
That is the most beautiful thing. Like it just works. It just brings things
I
into
don't know.
QuickBooks. Great.
It's turned on. My husband's very happy because he used to be the guy who had to manually plug in every single one of those invoices. He has managed to figure out what to do with the other 20 hours of his week every week, that he doesn't have to do that anymore. But yeah, it's great. It sends the invoices to the customers. They can make payment right then and there. I know a lot of people, they worry about the credit card fees if they allow so many people. We just build it in. We build it into our retail customer pricing. If they decide to do EFT or mail us a check ahead of time, great. That's 3% extra in my pocket. And we just move on from there. But yeah, I would say chasing down the money is a lot less. We just look at open invoices and we'll follow up once a week if there's anything to follow up with. So it is a huge time saver, I will say.
Excellent. Luna, thank you for your time today, and thank you all for your great questions that we've got both in the chat and in the Q&A. We're heading into the last 10 minutes or so here, and we've got a couple more things on the agenda. So one of the things that kicked off this session is when we came and we did a site visit or warehouse tour with Luna when we were there for ARA in the spring or around February. And you can see in the slide I'm sharing right now, this is just a glimpse into the cleanliness and the precision of Luna's operation. And that is what stood out to me the most when I was there. And you can see just toward the bottom, those blue taped boxes. That's what Luna was mentioning in terms of knowing what can fit in which truck and allowing folks to stage things effectively to then be loaded into the vehicle. The other thing I will never forget is that you have like a printout of what is acceptable garb and appearance for your team. I know a lot of people have taken that and adopted that into their own operations. And I see a few people in the chat are like, oh, I remember seeing that, or I'm going to add that to our warehouse. And the other thing that has stood out or that I mentioned when we were at a local ARA warehouse tour is I love that you have the customer call out section at your warehouse. Can you talk a little bit more about what goes into that to shout out either your team or your customers?
Sure. Where everyone comes in and they pick up the iPad if they want to use it, or we have a main message board. So we write people's birthdays on it and little memos. But we do send out a survey after every single event. And when the customers do respond to it or send us an email, giving a shout out to one of our staff. We always make sure we print it up and put it on that board as like our little positivity board. And we do include it in that weekly Friday email as well. So while we'll be going over different memos and things, we will make sure we put in screenshots of those shout outs and let them know that their hard work is noted and the customers really do appreciate it.
Right on. Perfect. Talking about the warehouse tours, and thank you folks for letting me know that the screen share wasn't coming through. We can now see the cleanliness and the precision of the warehouse. We can see those little blue taped lines. So we are excited to announce that we're going to be doing some additional warehouse tours over the summer. So we're going to be hitting up a few different spots. We're going to be in Rockville, Maryland shortly. In early May, we're going to be hitting Louisville in June, as well as the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas in about mid-June. So we're excited to come to y'all and we're excited to come visit. We're going to be dropping the link to register for these events if they're local to your area. You can register. There's still some tickets available for, I believe, all three of those, but they are filling up fast. I know when we were in Orlando, we had like a full bus. We had catering. So for all of these events, we're going to be doing a tour. We're going to be doing a round table and, of course, a catered lunch, which I'm always excited for. We also have an additional question for y'all. So with these different locations that we're going to Rockville, we're going to Louisville, we're going to Dallas, we've been to Orlando, we've done some in New York, we've done some in all across the country, really, at this point. We started doing them in Vegas a couple years ago, and we really built like a strong recipe for success. So my main question is, if you are interested in being featured in one of these warehouse tours, we've got a poll coming up here right now. Thank you, Dom. So you can respond there if you would like to volunteer as a host. So with that, I did promise a surprise, and the surprise is coming right now. So I am going to stop sharing my screen. And I loved how you mentioned, Luna, that you do your team training, you do it quarterly. We do the same thing here at Goodshuffle Pro. Oh my gosh, I see the surprise. The tension is rising. It's palpable, dare I say. So we do the same thing here at Goodshuffle Pro. So every year we fly all of our employees into the nation's capital to be together, to learn together. And we are watching the session right now. So we are going to see a bunch of faces. Oh, here they come. Whoa, it's everybody. Everyone wave. Yay. So we have all of our Good Shuffle staff here. We have all been watching. We've all been learning. We've all been listening to not only the success stories that you have, Luna, but also learning about where you may need to do things outside of the platform. It's the very life's blood, as our co-founder said when we were at ARA. It's founder fuel to hear about what are the little paper cuts or these challenges that you're facing every day of if there's a way to better schedule our or manage our projects or job profitability. These are the problems that we're looking to solve. And I know Dom alluded to some very exciting updates that we've got coming out here in terms of the client portal, and we're always looking to make y'all's life easier. And then the best way that we can do that is by talking more, connecting more. So Luna, I appreciate you being so vulnerable and so open, taking us through your process, and encouraging other folks to do the same. I see we've got a few people saying hi, a few people saying hi to Makana. Perfect. Oh, she's on. She's hi. Very good. Great. Again, thank you, Luna, for your time today. I think everyone
My
here, not
pleasure.
only at Good Shuffle HQ, but in the audience, deserve a thunderous round of applause for the great presentation today. So thank you again. There we go. Perfect. Thank you again
Yay.
for your time today. And if there is any other questions or if there's things that you would like to learn more about in the platform or feedback you want to share with our product team, get in touch with us. The best thing that you could do is speak up and show up and make sure that we can best support you and your industry. And as we often say here, so we can bring more joy to the events industry. So thank you for your time today, Luna. Thanks everyone for
Thank you.
attending.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Perfect. Thanks everyone. We will see you at the next one. Be well.